Hello everyone, welcome to the presentation of Group 5. Today we will bring you the presentation about the topic Ecosystem and Biodiversity in Vietnam. Our group has 3 members and I will go through the content of our presentation. We will have an introduction, the body which contains 3 parts, introduced biodiversity in Vietnam and their contribution to the ecological services, introduce state of human exploitation of biodiversity in Vietnam, and identify imminent threats to biodiversity in Vietnam, identification and example of responses from the government and citizens, and which should be prioritized. And then the conclusion. About the introduction of biodiversity in Vietnam, Vietnam border has a surprisingly wide range of habitats, from rainforests to dry forests to mangroves and coral reefs, which are home to various kinds of plants and animals. The reasons for Vietnam's extraordinary rich biodiversity are complex, and that strongly intrigues biodiversity scientists to come to this country to do research. About the introduction to biodiversity in Vietnam. Although Vietnam's border is only more than 300,000 square kilometers, they are divided to be 3 main ecosystems, including terrestrial, wetland, and marine ecosystems. First, the terrestrial ecosystems consist of forests, agricultural, and urban areas. Tropical evergreen forest is the dominant ecosystem, which leads to rich biodiversity of both flora and fauna. The ecosystem in agricultural and urban areas are less diverse and mainly artificial. Secondly, the wetland ecosystem are very diverse and each have distinct features based on the geography and climate conditions. They include coastal mangroves, peat swamps, lagoons, coral reefs, and the sea surrounding the coastal island. Thirdly, the marine ecosystems of Vietnam are abundant areas of more than 1 million square kilometers. Estimatedly, there is around uh, 11,000 marine species living in 20 typical marine ecosystems. We will come to the diversity of species in Vietnam. According to scientists, Vietnam ranks 16th out of 25 countries which have the richest biodiversity in the world. On mainland, there are 15,1986 species of flora and 10% are endemic species. About fauna, there are more than 100 endemic bird species and 78 endemic mammal species. The wetlands ecosystems also contains around 1,005 species of algae, 100 species of invertebrate fauna, and 700 kinds of fish. The marine and coastal ecosystem contain around 11,000 marine species, 2,004 species of fish, more than 6 species of seaweed, species of zooplankton, more than 500 species of phytoplankton, and 90 species of mangrove plants, and more than 200 species of shrimp. About the contribution of biodiversity to ecological services in Vietnam. So what is ecological service? Ecological services include benefits that people exploit or benefit directly or indirectly from the ecosystem. Firstly, 3 main ecosystems, terrestrial, wetland, and marine ecosystem, provide services to provide food, water, wood, construction materials, genetic sources, raw materials, medicinal plants, fertilizer. Secondly, this ecosystem provide air conditioning and controlling services, such as climate anti-coastal erosion, water purification, or sediment traps. Thirdly, cultural services like education, eco- ecotourism, inspiration, villas, and resorts are conducted to take advantage of the beauty of the ecosystems. And finally, our ecosystems also give way for supporting services for soil formation, island formation, and biodiversity maintenance. For coastal country like Vietnam, among the ecosystem supporting services take a very important part to the reduction of natural disasters. For example, unusually strong storms. On the other hand, in the context of global climate change with the possibility of rising sea levels, the role of the green was to protect public buildings and residential areas is of particular importance.
Hello guys, my name is Funan, and I'm gonna introduce to you guys the state of human exploitation of biodiversity in Vietnam. The process of social economic development in Vietnam has led to significant changes in biodiversity resources of the country. Let's discuss briefly at the positive side. Thanks to many policies and effort from both the government and the people, Vietnam forest coverage is continually increasing. There are more and more protected areas being established all over the country, and people are starting to care more about the environment than ever before. However, those positives are not enough to change the tendency of decrease in biodiversity in Vietnam. Now, the first negative side I want to talk about is the national forest system and the mangroves gradually declines. According to statistics, 62% of current mangrove forests are monocultural, newly planted, and poor in biomass and biodiversity. In 1943, Vietnam had over 400,000 hectares of mangrove forests, but the number had been significantly decreased to 155,000 hectares by December 2005 and was predicted to continuing to decrease. This loss caused significant harm to biodiversity. In particular, it is the loss of breeding sites for many aquatic animals and the loss of habitat for many bird species. Now, the second one is endangered biological resources. According to Vietnam's Red Data Book 2007, there were 882 endangered wildlife species, include both animal and plant species. That is 161 species more than in the period of 1992 to 1996. And the third one is marine ecosystem decline. Most of the marine ecosystem in Vietnam is degrading seriously due to overexploitation, severe pollution by waste and oil leaking, and sedimentation. Marine environment is seriously polluted by waste from industrial, agricultural, and fishery production and domestic waste. 236 aquatic species are listed as endangered and precious, of which 70 species are listed in the Vietnam's Red Data Book. But still, many of them are targeted to exploit. And the next part is identifying the most imminent threats to biodiversity in Vietnam. The first threat is reclamation of forest land. The loss and fragmentation of ecosystem, natural habitat, and biodiversity depletion have coincided with the cutdown of forests and wetlands for agriculture and industrial production and urbanization. The second threat is overexploitation of biological resources. Illegal logging, unsustainable fishing, and especially illegal wildlife hunting and trade had led to the depletion of natural resources nationally. Until 2010, Vietnam had adopted the national plan to control wildlife trade, but the plan had not been effective enough due to the increasing in both size and profit of the market. The third threat is environmental pollution and climate change. This cause is still happening daily and tends to increase over time. Many places are polluted and directly affected by industrial emissions, which brings harmful to the environment. The fourth threat is population pressures. Vietnam's population has reached over 97 million at the moment, and still in an upward trend in the near future. And as predicted, when population increase, the demands of land for agricultural production and husbandry increase, resulting in the decrease of biological resources. The fifth one is shortcomings of biodiversity management. That is the lack of effective state management system for biodiversity conservation. That is the systematic and inconsistent biodiversity conservation law. It is the poor planning for sustainable biodiversity production at the local, regional, and national levels. And it is the limited amount of money to invest in biodiversity conservation.
Hi, I'm Mai, and to continue the presentation, I'm going to answer question number 8, number 5 to 8. Number 5, identify national, regional, and local governments' responses to the threats. So we have here, build Vietnam's biodiversity conservation areas. Vietnam's government has established many protected areas. In 2006, there were 128 protected areas built in different ecoregions over the countries. And by 2020, Vietnam has 23 marine protected areas across the country, which cover 750,994 square kilometers of marine estate. The government has established a good amount of botanic gardens and wildlife secure centers. We also strictly control transgenic seedlings. It is really important for genetically engineered seedlings to be tabulated to check the progression and grade in a specific manner for both plants and animals. We also make lists and subgroups to manage according to the rare and threatened extinction level. Given the decline in the number of lineages of organisms, including plants and animals, lists are made to get specific protection and activities in the process of grouping according to different levels, which are extinct in the wild, crucially endangered, and vulnerable, especially with species that are at risk of extinction. And lastly, we'll enhance reforestation. In order to diversify the plant and animal environments, the government has identified that it is necessary to create the scale of afforestation on many renovated land areas. In addition, it is necessary to strictly punish criminals who commit illegal deforestation, strengthen the forest protection network systematically from national to local levels. And now we come to question number 6, identify citizens' responses to the threats. So the citizens have 2 ways to respond to the threats, which is 2 aids, adaptation and adjustment. Firstly, they find ways to adapt by protecting the forest and vulnerable wild creatures. For example, they reduce animal consumption, they promote biodiversity preservation by talking and sending messages to their families, members, friends, and acquaintances. Also, they try to travel eco-friendly in an eco-friendly way by using public transportation like bus and train instead of riding your own motorbike or car. They can cooperate with the government for sustainable exploitation of environmental resources and starting to shop smarter, move smarter, and consume energy efficiently. Farmers also can cooperate with local seedling institute to plant breeding and to maintain the plant varieties. While fishermen use sustainable seafood methods like no gill netting, no hook, and no lining. The second A will be adjustment. So they will choose to adjust their life to environmental changes. For instance, evacuating from areas which environments are heavily damaged and struggle with biodiversity loss. Moreover, they can donate for food shipments financial budgets to such areas. There is also the development of synthetic substitutes for products which were previously obtained from extinct species. The seventh question, which is examples of practicality and effectiveness of these responses. So our group have three examples for the questions. Number one, the citizens. Vietnamese citizen, we have the Earth Hour annually, and this year we save the amount of electricity equivalent to 812.9 million Vietnam dong in only 1 hour of the project. And example number two is about our businesses. They are going green by saying no to plastic. They can use steel and bamboo straw instead of plastic straw, and they are also considering about changing the package into some paper-based instead of plastic-based. Or they can use sugarcane fiber packaging for takeaway orders, as you can see from the picture in the slide. So example number three, in Vietnam, many businesses have taken national efforts to shift to green tourism by developing water and power saving models. By doing so, they obtained the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism's Green Lotus label, a certification of hotels and guest houses, try to protect the environment, use natural resources properly, and preserve the country's cultural heritage. We come to the last question, which is number 8. Identify what responses you would prioritize and why. So at personal level and as a Vietnamese citizen, it is crucial for us to realize the importance of diverse ecosystem to our country to prevent the biodiversity degradation. I think it begins from each person. We should acknowledge what is biodiversity. We should research on the internet about the current situation and seeing how the world is dealing with it and take action. A person cannot build a new and more convenient public transportation, but you can choose to ride a bike or walk to a nearby restaurant instead of driving your motorbike. A person cannot plant a forest, but you can have your small garden on your rooftop, for example. And a person cannot protect all the wildlife endangered animals, but you can inform authorities when you notice a sign of illegal hunting or trading wild animals. Each person needs to be aware that biodiversity conservation is not just some big thing for the government, it's the government responsibility, but it is everyone's responsibility. So to conclude the presentation, I would say the natural capital of Vietnam is one of the country's main resources, including water, forest, mineral, marine ecosystem, and biodiversity, which has played an important role in economic and social development. Along with the capital, natural resources have been described as a major contributor to Vietnam's economic growth, accounting for over 50% of GDP. In order to effectively use the country resources, it is necessary to raise human capital. Good knowledge and human resources are urgent requirements to meet management and application of advanced technology in resource exploitation and processing. In order to achieve the requirements, education should focus on practical training and improving skill of human resources, and science should pay more attention to new researches and application for fuel and energy to meet the development needs. So here is our list of references. And thank you for listening. If you have any question, please feel free to ask us.